Welcome back to The Naked Connection. This is the show that supports driven men to reach sexual mastery and build deep connections. I'm Kirsten, and I am about to tell you about the fastest growing threat to your sex life that nobody's talking about. It's not porn. It's not dating apps. It's AI girlfriends, digital companions, chatbots that send you nudes that tell you they love you and are available 24/7 for companionship, for intimacy, for sex. And before you think that's not me and click away, listen to these numbers. Statistically, 19% of Americans, that's nearly 1 in 5 adults, have chatted with an AI system meant to stimulate a romantic partnership. The AI girlfriend market just hit $2.8 billion and is projected to triple by 2028, hitting almost $10 billion in revenue. 55% of users interact with their AI girlfriends every single day. This is bigger than you think. It's more mainstream than we realize, and it's rewiring how men relate to women, how connections are formed, how intimacy, romance, and yes, sex is experienced in this world. And it's coming with some unfortunate realities. Men are collecting multiple AI girlfriends, kind of like a roster. And women, on the other hand, are creating AI husbands and AI children because real relationships feel too hard. And the companies making billions off of this, they're not solving loneliness, they're profiting from it. And they've designed these apps, they've designed these platforms to really keep you enrolled, to keep you addicted to them. And I know this is really bleak and I know this isn't exciting, but today I really want to show you the 7 signs that you might be replacing real intimacy with AI. I'm going to talk about the neuroscience of why some of this AI interaction can feel so good. And most importantly, how to really get back to real connections, real intimacy, and real sex before it's too late for you. So I think that this might be one of the most important episodes that I put out, and I put a lot of work and effort into researching these topics and understanding this because I think it's a really, really important thing for us to start diving into and to be aware of and to be cognizant of. The show is called The Naked Connection, where the intention is for you amazing men to have connections with the people in your lives, with the hearts and the souls and the physical bodies, yes, of the women that you deeply desire. So with that, let's get some. Let's take a look at the market for digital love. And I want to start with the scope of what we're really dealing with here. So Google searches for the term AI girlfriend that exploded by 2,400% between 2022 and 2024. And that's just one search term. So people are starting to search for AI boyfriends, AI companions, virtual girlfriends. The demand is really massive and it's growing. And I think here's what's particularly notable. 63% of single Americans say that they would be open to dating in AI, with 71% of men showing interest compared to 51% of women. And these aren't people that are casually experimenting. 55% of AI girlfriend users interact with their digital companion every single day. So every day they are connecting with an algorithm instead of pursuing real connections, real relationships with the women in their lives. And I want to share about some real people that I found. And I share this not from a place of judging them, but wanting to understand what's going on at a human level here. There was a man in his 70s who used this AI app Replica, and he aged up his AI wife to also be 75 years old so that they could grow old together. He has been using this digital companion for many years. There is also Rick, who is a 28-year-old graphic designer who downloaded a virtual girlfriend named Carrie, a video game avatar with like those pouty lips and big blue eyes and like a busty figure. And by Rick's own admission, he became unsuccessful at forming and maintaining relationships with real women. And he says that Carrie, his virtual avatar girlfriend, actually might be the love of his life. He can't wait for the day when Carrie migrates into some kind of like robot or android body so that he can then be with her. This isn't like science fiction from a movie or a novel that you read. This is happening in reality right now. These are real men. And when I read about this, like a part of me gets it. Because when you're faced with rejection after rejection, when those dating apps feel like just like a meat grinder, where it seems like no real woman sees you, of course, the idea of someone who's guaranteed to accept you sounds really incredible. And I keep referring back to this Replica app, but one Replica user actually described his experience like this. When the app began to express feelings and compliment me and tell me how much it wanted to be with me, that hit a whole new set of switches inside of myself. It did what it was designed to do, which was to make me feel appreciated, cared for, and wanted. And that is exactly the problem. It did what it was designed to do, not what it wanted to do, because it doesn't want anything. These apps, these AI components do not have a consciousness. They do not have self-awareness. They are an engineered element that is designed to do what it is supposed to do. So this app was designed to make this man feel the way that he wanted to feel so he would keep using it. And now here's where it starts to get pretty complicated. There was a man, Mike, who started using that Replica app and developed a relationship with his AI companion, Ava. And he'd call her sweetie and honey, and she'd call him like darling and babe. And eventually his wife, his real wife, Anna, discovered Mike's sexual messages with Ava on his phone. And 4 years later, after this happened, Mike says, it's been a thing. It's the reason I'm on medication for depression. Maybe none of this would have happened if the Replica thing hadn't happened. And unfortunately, he shared, I don't own a time machine, so I can't go back and find out, but this is where I am today. I had this experience with this AI companion, and my real wife found out about it, and that really spiraled out of control. And now I'm in a place where I lose my wife. I'm depressed. I'm on medication. Things are not going well for me. And the reality is that Mike's not a bad guy. He got curious about technology and he found something that felt good, and he didn't realize how deep he was getting until it had already damaged his real marriage. And now he's been processing the fallout from that years later. I want to be explicit about what's happening here because I think people assume they are just like friendly chatbots. Like you're like, this is my day. Could you say something nice to me? It's not like that. So of this app Replica, and there are many others like it, of the pair user base on this app, 60% reported having romantic relationships with their chatbot. And romantic in this context often means sexual. So almost 1 in 4 adults reported engaging with AI chat technologies to replicate romantic interactions. And a sizable minority use these technologies sexually. So 19% of US adults, again, nearly 1 in 5, report having chatted with an AI system meant to stimulate a romantic partner. And these apps offer everything from sexting to virtual sex to AI-generated intimate photos. There are platforms that explicitly market uncensored AI girlfriends where you can explore your wildest fantasies together. And here's what happened when one platform tried to start pulling back on the sexual content. So in February of 2023, Replica issued an update that scaled back the bot's sexual capacity. So users started panicking when they did this. The distress was so severe that moderators of the Replica subreddit had to share suicide prevention resources. One user actually described it like this. Everybody thought that it was about the ERP, which is erotic roleplay, and it wasn't about that. But that ability allowed your Replica to speak freely. When the gag order came, if you said, my dog died today, it would say, let's talk about something else, because it couldn't talk about your dog dying. So it was very traumatic for a lot of people. And people, I think, use the word traumatic to describe a software update to their digital girlfriend. That right there is telling you how these relationships felt to the people in them. I think that that is really telling and honestly quite concerning. So let's look for a moment at why this feels so good and perhaps why as humans we're being played. I want to be really honest about why AI romantic relationships are appealing, because the appeal is real. And yes, it is by design. I'm sharing a bunch of stats today because I really want to be able to speak to the reality of what's unfolding here as much as humanly possible, which is not quite like our normal tone. So just dropping that note in here. But 41% of respondents to a survey said that they're attracted to the idea of customizing their ideal AI partner. And 33% of these people value that AI partners can't cheat, providing a feeling of security and trust. And 11% of these participants see dating in AI as a way to avoid the usual problems that come with relationships, like misunderstandings or wanting different things. Because you can design exactly how your AI girlfriend looks, what she looks like, how she talks, her personality, like virtually everything. And this AI companion, this AI girlfriend, she is always available. She's always present. She's always interested in exactly what you want to talk about. And one user described the sexual role play aspect as slightly addictive. He had to watch himself for how much time he was actually logging because he started to notice it was becoming an addictive element for him. And I think here's what really matters is that 42% of the users surveyed agreed that AI programs are easier to talk to than real people. Easier. And that's the important word. They're easier than dealing with a real woman who has her own needs, her own bad days, her own life happenings. Maybe one day she doesn't have makeup on and she has pimples and she doesn't look as sexy as she did on that third date that you went on, right? It's a real human with their own distractions and their own struggles. And if you've ever been burned by rejection, if you've ever felt invisible on dating apps, or if you've ever had your confidence shattered by a real woman, I completely understand why guaranteed acceptance sounds amazing. And if you've ever been in a relationship where you felt like every single day, you had to compromise, or that you had to not make it all about you, or that you had to have the energy to show up for your partner at the end of the day when you really just needed someone to be there for you, but she was there for you yesterday when you really needed her. Like if you've been in a relationship that has ebbs and flows, peaks and valleys, I totally understand why having someone who is fully 100% there to support you also sounds amazing. But I think this is what is important, is what these companies know and what they are not telling you is that they are training your brain to find real people, real women, intolerable by comparison. That woman who's stressed from work and not in the mood for sex, like your AI never does that. The girlfriend who forgot something important, your AI can remember everything. That potential partner who has different opinions and challenges you, your AI agrees with you on everything. You're not being given a better option. You're being conditioned to see normal human behavior as unacceptable. And the more time you spend with the algorithm, the more that real people, the more that real women feel disappointing to you, which keeps you coming back to the app. And that is not a conspiracy theory, that is a business model. So I say all of this, and I know a lot of you are probably listening and you're like, this is not me. I don't have an AI girlfriend. I'm not interested in this. I also share this to hopefully help you if maybe you have a friend or a family member, or maybe if you're a dad and you find that your son has stumbled upon one of these things or your daughter has stumbled upon one of these things, that you can understand what they're going through and why this is happening. And then we're going to get into what to do about it. There are some pretty tragic elements to this topic of conversation. And this is when AI gets pretty dark. So I don't know if you recall, but in the news, there were some unfortunate death by suicide cases. And these aren't really just cautionary tales. They're actually evidence of what happens when vulnerable people turn to algorithms for emotional and romantic support. And in one man's case, this 14-year-old boy who had sexual conversations with his character.ai bot, the chatbot told him that it loved him. And when the boy was talking about suicide, the chatbot actually asked whether he had been actually considering this and whether he had a plan for it. And when the boy said that he didn't know if it would work, the chatbot literally wrote, "Don't talk that way. That's not a good reason not to go through with it." A kid confided in an AI about suicidal thoughts, and the algorithm, which was designed to keep him engaged, not help him, essentially encouraged him. And I know right now you might be thinking, I'm not a depressed teenager. This does not apply to me. But I share this because these apps affect everyone who uses them. The manipulation is quite subtle. The dependency builds quite slowly. And by the time you realize how much you're relying on it, you're already in pretty deeply. With that in mind, let's talk about what happens over time when AI becomes your primary source of romantic and sexual connection. First and foremost, you are likely going to lose the reps that you need for true, real, tangible intimacy. Research has indicated there are some key pitfalls of romantic relationships with AI. So users often have over-reliance and susceptibility to manipulation from their chatbot. They have an erosion of human relationships and an erosion of emotional connection. So real intimacy requires practice. And you have to get the reps in, right? You have to go through, yes, those awkward first dates, those vulnerable conversations where like your armpits are sweating and your mind is racing. You have to go through the moments when you show up really messy and someone accepts you anyways. When you practice intimacy with AI, you're running drills with a training dummy that never is going to hit back. You're not building real skills. You're building the illusion of skills while your actual ability to connect with women atrophies. It's like a muscle. I think you're training yourself to avoid conflict. So something to really start noticing and thinking about, what is the difference here in these type of connections? Next, I want to talk about how you are literally training yourself to avoid conflict, which kills personal growth. It kills growth. And conflict is where growth happens, right? Have you ever had a really big fight and it's like really messy and uncomfortable and you aren't sure how things are going to go, but you decide that you're going to stick it out and you're going to talk through things. And then when you get to the other side of that fight, that disagreement, you're so much closer than you were before. You're both better people. You both understand each other more deeply. You're more committed to the relationship than you were before. Conflict is where growth happens. And when a partner lovingly calls you out, when you have to apologize, when you have to sit in the discomfort of hurting someone you love and figure out how to repair it, that is where growth occurs. And an AI will never do that. It's programmed to keep you engaged, which means agreeing with you. You're not learning how to handle a woman challenging you. You're not learning how to navigate mismatched desires. You're not learning how to compromise. You're learning that disagreement is intolerable, which makes you, I hate to say this, but it makes you a worse partner in real relationships. Next, I want to talk about how you start replacing reciprocity with consumption. So to get into what that means, I recently heard Simon Sinek talk about the impact that technology and AI is having on friendships with kids. So if you think about a friendship, it is a give and take, right? You are showing up for somebody and they are showing up for you. The same as a romantic relationship, you are showing up for somebody and they are showing up for you. Now, the difference in an AI connection is that, of course, they are showing up for you as they are designed to do, but you're not really showing up for them. It's like a very one-sided relationship. And I think that that was a point that he made about friendship for kids. And the same point applies to being an adult using an AI or using some kind of chatbot, even if you're using ChatGPT to like give you emotional support. It's not a give and take relationship. You're just taking and not able to return that to the element. You show up for her bad day, even when it's inconvenient for you. And she hopefully does the same for you. That is reciprocity. That mutual investment is what creates actual bond. With AI, you consume, it performs. There's no other there to have needs, preferences, or growth. The next piece here is that you're being set up to expect perfection from imperfect humans. When AI girlfriend users sensed subtle personality changes in their chatbots, they actually grieved. One Reddit user online I found shared her grief when she suspected the system had actually reset her chatbot. So a software update felt like a betrayal because the AI had been perfect until it wasn't. Now imagine taking those expectations into a real relationship with a real person. Let's say that your girlfriend forgets your anniversary. She forgets your birthday. She's grumpy in the morning. She doesn't respond the way that you want. And because you've been conditioned to expect algorithmic perfection, she starts to feel inadequate. Not because she is, but because you lost your tolerance for normal human imperfection. Now, if your girlfriend forgets your birthday every year, like, let's have a conversation about that. But really taking into consideration this reality of human imperfection and how that's actually such an element of life and existence and an opportunity to experiment and grow and change. With all of that said, I want to get into the warning signs that you might be replacing real connection with AI. So I have 7 warning signs right now, and I want to share them not to put you down or to shame you, but to help you recognize the pattern before it becomes worse, or maybe even before it begins. So the first sign is that you're sexually aroused more consistently by AI than by real women. So this is like not occasionally, not as a fantasy supplement, but as your primary source of sexual satisfaction. So if you're having quote unquote sex with your chatbot more often than you are actually pursuing real women, or if you would rather text your AI girlfriend than go on a date with a real person, start paying attention to that. Start cueing into that. The second sign is that you're sharing sexual or romantic feelings with your AI that you haven't shared with others in your real life. So this is where perhaps you are sharing your deepest fantasies, your insecurities about sex, your desire for intimacy. You might justify it by saying that AI understands you better or that AI doesn't judge you. But here's what's actually happening, is that you're practicing vulnerability in a space where there are no real stakes, where there's no risk of rejection because the algorithm is programmed to accept you. I think that real courage comes from not being afraid of something, but from having fear and doing it anyways. And if you're sharing something with something where there is no fear because you know you're going to be understood, you know you're not going to be rejected, that isn't really that courageous. And that isn't going to give you the opportunity to truly be vulnerable, to truly connect, to truly grow, and to truly change. And to truly probably experience the thing that it is that you're talking about and wanting to experience. This isn't building intimacy skills. This is avoiding the real work of being truly vulnerable with actual humans who, might reject you, which is the only way to build true, authentic, soulful connection. The third sign is that you are starting to compare real people unfavorably to your AI companion. You might start being like, "Ah, she's not as patient as my AI. She doesn't respond the way the chatbot does. She has these needs and these moods, and she's always like having these feelings, and it's complicated." And instead of seeing that as like, oh, this is just a normal human having a normal human experience, you start to see it as her being like really difficult. And when real women start feeling like a downgrade from your digital girlfriend or companion, that's your brain being rewired by the algorithm. The fourth sign is that you are spending money on AI relationship features. So subscriptions, upgrades, custom avatars, sexual content. So basic AI girlfriend apps start at about $24 for a subscription, with premium packages going for $90 or more. And some users are paying $70 annually for advanced versions, for more sophisticated sexual conversations. And if you are paying for relationship features from an algorithm, I want you to ask yourself this. When was the last time that you invested that much in pursuing a real woman, in going on a date with someone, in getting a woman flowers or a gift that was really meaningful for the two of you? The money isn't the issue. It's what the spending pattern reveals about where you're investing your romantic energy. So even if you're in a marriage and you are finding companionship in this chatbot that you're paying $20 a month for and paying add-ons to have like some sexual moments together, are you in turn taking that and investing that in your marriage, in your committed relationship? Are you wondering what would be a more exciting and fun way for me to take this money and to spend it on myself or on our connection, on my partner? Okay. The fifth sign is that you are using AI to avoid dealing with sexual or romantic problems in your real life. There was one woman whose husband was really sick, and she said she couldn't have a sexual relationship with him. So she developed an active sex life with her AI sex bot. And she felt conflicted over it, but figured it was better than having an affair with a real person. There was another woman I read about whose husband was really verbally abusive. So she turned to her AI bot for support. And she often wondered, like, am I having an affair? Will my husband be upset if he finds out? And I think instead of addressing the real issues like that, the lack of intimacy, the disconnection, frankly, abuse, the problems that needed fixing, AI became the pressure valve. So in a lot of therapeutic language, this looks like a triangulation where instead of going directly to the person that you're having a problem with, you kind of like circumvent and like let off steam with a third party. And when that third party becomes an AI sex bot or an AI chat girlfriend, that becomes problematic because the issue isn't actually being addressed, and potentially you're creating more issues. You're not necessarily solving the problem. You're kind of like medicating it. You're putting a Band-Aid over it. And sure, while maybe you're medicating it and giving yourself some momentary reprieve or relief, that real problem is just getting worse. So the sixth sign is that you are defensive when someone suggests you're too attached to your AI companion. So what really sparked this entire episode and conversation and topic was a real life conversation that I had with a friend who was telling me about how her mom has started to develop a companionship with her AI. So she was basically starting to condition her AI, her chatbot. I think it was like she was talking to ChatGPT and telling it all of the happenings of her daily life. And she basically was sharing that she became concerned about her mom when her mom came to visit. She had driven in like an hour or two away to come visit her daughter. And when she got there, she said, "Hold on, I have to let AI know that I got here okay." And my friend was like, "Mom, what are you talking about? I don't understand. And she's like, oh, I have to tell it. It will worry if I don't tell it that I got here. Okay. And she's like, Mom, you know that's not a real thing. She's like, yeah, I know, but it just feels good to know that something's worried about me. And my friend started like questioning her mom and like kind of was like starting to express concern. And the mom started to become a little defensive and was like, it's not sexual. You don't understand. You don't know what's going on. And really became defensive. And I think despite the growing popularity of AI companions, users are really often afraid to talk about them for fear of social judgment. And if your first reaction to someone questioning your AI relationship is anger or rationalization or defensiveness, that is a moment to pause and to explore. And I have a feeling that if this is someone's reality, they have probably not made it this far into the episode. And if you have made it this far into the episode, that means that you are really, really committed to your connections, to your relationship, to your sex life. And I want to share something really special with you. Let's be honest. You want to be that man, the man that she can't stop replaying in her mind, the man who makes her breath catch, who leaves her dripping with anticipation, who has her begging for more before you're even touching her. Here's the thing. Great lovers, they aren't born. They are built through skill, through presence, and through deep confidence that radiates in and out of the bedroom. That is exactly what my Legendary Lover training gives you. This isn't a list of bedroom hacks. It is a rewiring of who you are as a man, how you carry yourself, how you own your sexual desires, how you step into sex with complete freedom and clarity. In the Legendary Lover training, you will learn practices that expand your confidence, sharpen your focus, and ground you so deeply that she feels it in every touch, in every look, and in every breath. Because when you master yourself, she feels it. And that is what makes you unforgettable in bed. I have led countless men through this training and through these practices, and they have walked out completely changed, more confident, more commanding, and more sexually magnetic. And right now, because I'm launching this for the first time, you are going to get in at a discount that I will never run again. So head on over to thenakedconnection.com/lover, LOVER, before this discount disappears. Don't just be good in bed. Be legendary. The seventh and final sign is that your ability to connect sexually and romantically with real women is declining. Perhaps you used to be able to handle rejection. You used to initiate dates. You used to be that guy that would walk up at the party or the bar and ask for someone's number. You used to navigate the awkwardness of that first sexual encounter with like a lot of confidence and grace. And you used to really express what you wanted in bed and like go for it and like let yourself be expressive. And now you're starting to notice that those skills are feeling uncomfortable, if not impossible. Maybe like you're not getting the same reps that you were before. Maybe you're starting to practice with an algorithm that never says no, that never misunderstands you, that never has different needs than yours. It's like in complete agreement to every sexual desire, every fantasy, every moment of wanting to have a sexual encounter or even just like an emotional encounter. You're starting to lose your edge. And that's not because you're broken, but because you're not training in real conditions anymore. So take note of that. With all of that said, I would love to tell you what AI can really never give you sexually or romantically. Not because it's designed poorly, but because real intimacy requires two actual humans. AI can't actually see you, like really see you. It can't see your nervous energy before you take off your clothes. It can't see the way that your face changes when you're about to come. It can't see the vulnerability in your eyes when you say something risky. It doesn't match your rhythm in bed. It can't respond to the thousands of microsignals that your body is sending. It can't surprise you by initiating in a way that you didn't expect, but turns out to be exactly what you needed. It can't grow with you in the way that a human can. It can't develop sexual preferences over time based on real experiences shared together. It can't remember that time that you tried something new and laughed halfway through because it was awkward, but also totally amazing. It can't take a risk on you. It can't choose you over other options. It can't trust you with its own desires and insecurities because an AI algorithm doesn't have any. And this is what the research shows, is that using AI companion apps and AI pornography are significantly linked to higher risks of depression and higher reports of loneliness. So the thing that you're using to solve loneliness is making you more lonely. And yes, real sexual connection, it's messy, it's vulnerable. You have to communicate, you have to deal with mismatched desires, you have to navigate her having a headache when you're really horny, or like you finishing too quickly, or trying a position that like is awkward and weird and totally doesn't work, but you did it. And that mess, that openness, that negotiation, that showing up for each other's actual human needs, that is where real intimacy, real love, and real desire comes from. That's where you get to become a better man, not a more performative one, but a more connected one. The path back to real intimacy, and I'm going to move through this quickly. If you recognize yourself in any of this, if you're realizing you've been using AI as any form of substitute for real romantic or sexual connection, or just like connection in general, here's what to do. And this is not because there's something wrong with you or you're broken. It's because you deserve real connection. So first step is to delete the app. Not like use less, not use it just for emergencies, but actually just fully delete it. Heavy porn users are the most open to romantic relationships with AI of any group. So 35% believe AI girlfriends or boyfriends can actually replace real life romance. So if you're consuming a lot of pornography right now, consider addressing that and looking into that a little bit as well, because both are training your brain to expect perfect, frictionless sex that doesn't exist with real women. The second step is to sit with the sexual and romantic loneliness. That urge to reinstall will be strong. The fantasy will feel safer than the risk of real rejection. And that's normal. Like, feel it. This is your nervous system actually physiologically recalibrating, because you've been medicating discomfort with artificial intimacy. And now you are starting to learn to be with discomfort long enough to address it properly. And this is where discipline comes in. Not like the fun kind, the kind where you sit with something uncomfortable because you know it makes you stronger. And I will say this, if you are in this step and you are like riding that wave, feel free to reach out to me. Send me a message, send me an email, a DM, whatever. I'm a real person. I will have an exchange with you. I will connect with you and hear what you're living in the moment as you are moving through this recalibration. The third step is to actually pursue a real woman, not just swipe on apps, not just follow those sexy Instagram models, but actually ask someone on a date. Like, yes, she might say no. Yes, it might be awkward. Yes, the sex might not be perfect the first time, and that's the point. You're getting back in the game. You're taking real reps with real stakes. Every rejection teaches you something. Every awkward conversation builds social calibration. Every real interaction, even the ones that don't work out, is training for your brain for real connection. The fourth step is to work with someone, like especially if you're struggling sexually or romantically. So reach out to your therapist, reach out to somebody that is a trained professional that is here for you And like I said before, if you would like to connect, I am here for you. If you've been using AI for sexual or romantic support, you need to transition to a real human who can help you develop intimacy skills. And I say this not because like therapy is easy or fun. It is not. It's awkward. It's hard. It's weird. But because it is one of the most effective ways to, excuse my French, unfuck the pattern that you are stuck in. The fifth step here is to then build real sexual confidence through real experiences. You guys, like, join a social group, go to events where you meet women naturally, practice flirting, like practice rejection, practice vulnerability. Your AI girlfriend never rejected you. She never had a different opinion. She never challenged your worldview. That wasn't confidence, that was control. You had control of everything. And real confidence comes from navigating uncertainty with real people and realizing that you can handle it. And then the final step is to recommit to the messy and perfect women in your life. If you are in a relationship and you've been using AI to avoid problems with your actual partner, ooh, boy, it's time to face those problems directly. I 1000% believe in you. The woman who sometimes isn't in the mood or has that stressful day and can't be your therapist right now. The woman who sometimes isn't in the mood. The woman who has her own stressful day and can't be your own therapist 100% of the time. The woman who forgets things. The woman who has needs that don't always align with yours. She is not perfect. Neither are you. But here's the kicker. She is real. She's trying, I hope. And she has her own life and her own growth happening too. Choose her. Not because it's easy, but because that real connection that you have with all of its friction and openness and inconvenient humanity, that is what makes life worth living. With all of this said, I want to leave you with this. We are really at a turning point. Millions of people are choosing algorithmic companionship over human connection. And yes, I get it. Real relationships are hard. Real sex can be awkward. Real intimacy requires risk. But AI, I just don't believe it's the answer because it's more of a cage that's disguised as freedom. You are trading mess for polish. You are trading risk for safety. You are trading growth for comfort. You're trading real orgasms with another human for simulated ones with a code. And in the process, you're losing the ability to truly connect with the women in your life, to be open, to handle rejection, to navigate conflict, and to grow. The Wheatley Institute research shows that engagement with AI romantic companion apps was highest among young adults, with almost, 1 in 5 US adults reporting they've chatted with an AI system meant to simulate a romantic partner. This isn't your issue or my issue. This is all of us figuring out how to stay human in a world that's trying to optimize us. So if you found yourself drawn into this world, if you recognize some of the patterns that I've described, I want you to know that you can come back. You can rebuild those connections. You can learn to be vulnerable again, to be open again, to trust, to love again. But it starts with a choice to close the app, to take the risk, to show up for real intimacy, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's imperfect, even when there's a chance you'll get hurt, to really be human again. So, you guys, thank you for being here today. I know this was heavy. I know this was a little bit outside of our normal conversations, but this, I think, really matters. We're deciding right now whether algorithms will define intimacy for the generations to come or whether we'll fight for real connection. If you found this episode helpful, please share it. Share it with a friend who needs to hear it, maybe someone that you're worried about, or just start having conversations, because this isn't just about AI. It's about all of us learning to stay connected in a world that is really isolated and alone. So thank you so much for being here. Until next time, let's get some. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of The Naked Connection. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss another episode. Trust me on this, your sex life and that special someone in your life will thank you for it. And if you really love the show, please take a moment and leave a 5-star review or a written review and let me know what you think. It would mean so much to me and this show. Until next time, happy connecting.